So I wanted to show you guys something. This is a pin lock for MotoGP and other racers in the world. This specific one is not sold to the public. So it's the end of 2024, and this morning I woke up to 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I wanted to make this video to kind of look back on 2024 at some of my favorite motorcycle moments. January, we bought a Gixxer 750. It's a bike that I've never owned before, but I've always wanted to own. Fun fact, a lot of you guys think I dislike Gixxers, but that is not true. If you've been following me for a long time, you may or may not know that the Gixxer 750 was actually the bike that I used to drive over to the dealership and drool over. This year I finally bought one. In January, I also met my friend Nate, and I finally got to ride a Yamaha R7, which actually surprised me. The first ride on that bike was really underwhelming, but after we got the full exhaust on, huge shout out to Leo Vinci for that. Nate took it to get flash, and then we got to ride it again, and it was fun. It's actually really fun. The surprising thing about the Yamaha R7 is if you close your eyes, it's so similar to a Yamaha R6. How do I know? I've owned plenty of R6s. Where the R7 lets you down is in the throttle. Like, there is not as much torque as a Yamaha R6. And it's funny because I get a lot of backlash for this. People will say the R6 is not as torquey as the R7, which is not true. If you've ever ridden an R6 with a full exhaust and a flash. Anyway, highlight of January was getting to ride the R7 and meeting Nate. Nasty freaking Nate. I love you, bro. February was actually a pretty big month. I met Tyrell. Well, you guys know him as Storm 6R, Oil Up, ZX6R, that's what I call him. Cool kid. He stalked me on like social media, went to Rustin to my spots, and I finally got to meet him. Very cool kid. And he's actually part of the Brew Talk podcast cast. We bought a Sur-Ron Ultra B, something that I've always wanted to own. Found one for a pretty good deal here locally, used, owned by an old guy. Brought it home, made a couple videos, and then that was kind of like the end of the e-bike thing for a while at least. Back to that in a minute. Also in February, I got invited to AIM Expo in Las Vegas, which I was not gonna go to, but my brand manager said I definitely need to go to. So we went down there, walked around, shook hands, but in my opinion, the only hands worth shaking besides the fans was TJ from KYT Americas. Funny enough, I saw that booth the day before. We were there for 2 or 2.5 days. Second day, my manager was like, stop by that booth. And I was like, no, I'm not interested in those helmets. Turns out, as we were walking by, checking out these helmets, TJ stopped me and said, I know you, and I want you to review my helmet. We got to talking, and just in that little bit of time, I learned so much about helmets and helmet technology that it was just a no-brainer for me to bring that helmet back so that way I could test it for myself and tell you guys how good or how shitty it was. But I couldn't actually bring that one back. They needed it for a display. Instead, TJ took a flight here and delivered a helmet to me personally so I could test out. And what I love the most about TJ is he said, even if you don't like it, please let me know. To have that kind of confidence, especially knowing how I do my reviews, I had a feeling that this helmet was going to be good. That was another memorable moment when he came down and I got to meet Nathan, who's no longer with KYT, but we had an epic little public forum at my favorite place, Rustin. They got to show off the helmets. There were strangers coming up to us, checking out what we were doing. Got to meet a guy who flew down from Kenya to visit his family, but was also a follower of mine. And when I announced that we were going to be there, he had to be there. He was studying to be a doctor, and he asked for my advice because he was also about to have kids. And I said, I think my biggest advice for you is to remember that kids don't need rich parents. They need happy parents. Dr. Ridge, if you're watching this, which you probably are, all the way from Kenya, my friend, it was awesome to meet you. Another notable thing in February was the Yamaha R1 getting discontinued in Europe. Obviously, we still have it here. The 2025 now has winglets. But more importantly, the Euro 5 Plus emissions is on its way, probably tomorrow. Okay, so in March, my friend Abel actually picked up an M1000RR, and that was the first time I actually got to ride it. Here's what happened in that video. My GoPro just suddenly stopped recording audio. Like, nothing was unplugged. It had audio while I was riding, and then all of a sudden, no audio. GoPro has ruined so many videos for me. GoPro, fix your shit, please. Because I actually love your colors, like the colors that are like auto, but I don't think I'll ever use you guys again just because of the unreliability. Next, we finally used earplugs. After like 17 years of riding, I finally used earplugs, and that was because we got a brand deal with a company called Eargasm, which we will continue to work with this next year. Lila, if you're watching this, I appreciate the love. Now, finally, at the end of March, I had been riding in the KYT KX1 for a little over a month, and I loved it. So I pitted against one of my favorite helmets of all time, the AGV Pista GP-R, which I also own a GP-RR version. Here's some things to know about the KYT KX1, because this is a very special helmet to me. The KYT KX1 was designed by the same person who designed the AGV Pista GP-R and RR. Here's a fun fact. The GP-R and the GP-RR are actually the same helmet, like down to the T. The only thing changed was the spoiler. They rounded it off, but that rounded spoiler fits on the GPR. The pointy spoiler from the GPR fits on the GP-RR. Holy cow. So for anybody that has any doubts about the KYT KX1, I've given away the secret a million times. You can look up the patents on the Pista GPR, find that person's name. That person works for Suomi. Suomi is owned by KYT. It's no secret now. But for anybody that still doubts the KYT KX1, it's been raced in MotoGP for, I want to say, 4 years now. But still, memorable moment in March, wearing earplugs. If you are not wearing earplugs currently, I suggest wearing earplugs right now. Save your hearing. April 2024, Braden drops my RSV4. This is the first time anybody's ever dropped my bike. I let anybody and everybody ride my bikes, and this was the first time. Did it hurt my soul? Yes, a little bit. Did I get on video? Yes. So that kind of balanced itself out, because it was hilarious. And it's not like Braden crashed it. He just tipped it over because of the kickstand. He couldn't get the kickstand down because that bike is so tall. Understandable. Also in April, I went to Texas. For the first time, I got to travel for Adobo Moto. KYT Americas sent me to MotoGP to hang out with them to see what it was like. Now, at this time, I had already stopped watching racing. And to be perfectly honest, motorcycle racing in America is not really that popular. There's many reasons why, but the main one being mainstream media. Another one being that the dominant sports here in America are like football, soccer, and baseball. And on top of that, the contracts that are being handed out to motorcycle riders in Moto 1, Moto 2, kids in America would rather have motocross contracts. I'll have a video about this later on in the year, but essentially it's very expensive to get into road motorcycle racing. The most competitive racers are actually bred in Spain. And for an American to go to Spain, it's a six-figure number. It's 100K. The cost to play football, soccer, etc., nowhere near. So the dominant sports here, ball sports. Okay, back to MotoGP. I learned even more about motorcycle tech, gear, and motorcycle helmet technology. So I want to show you guys something. This is a pin lock for MotoGP and other racers in the world. This specific one is not sold to the public. And I personally love this one. This is my favorite pin lock ever. And for some reason, I've been preserving this because I want to show it to people. It's not like I can't get another one, but I wish this was the pin lock that they sold to the public. As you can see here, it sticks to the visor itself. And this specific visor has a rubber rain guard. I've shown this in the past, but I figured it was worth showing again for this video. April's notable moment. Go to MotoGP, getting to experience my friends from KYT America's life. It's not every day that people in the industry are also people who are very passionate about motorcycles. When I went to AM Expo, I was asking a Kawasaki rep about their hybrid Kawasaki motorcycle. He could barely tell me any facts about it. I was like, what's the top speed? What's the range? He just couldn't answer a lot of the questions that I had. KYT Americas, they love motorcycles. I love motorcycles. It was a match made in heaven. And after that, I decided I was going to partner with them. Again, a lot of y'all thought I was getting paid from February to March. I was not. I didn't partner with them until after MotoGP. In May, I bought my first Supermoto. It was a 250X from Yamaha. Really fun bike. I had a lot of experiences with that. We were driving up a mountain, and then Alex, the way he is, hit a bump doing like 30 miles an hour, and the bike flew out. Of course, I made an insurance claim, and it kind of paid for itself. I ended up trading that bike for a ZX-10R, which I still have in the other garage. More on that later. Actually, more on that right now. How we even got to this garage space studio. Now, I was going to get into a warehouse, which was going to cost me about $1,200 a month. And for me, it was just like a tough pill to swallow because that's about $14,000 a year. Let me check my math. 12 times 10 is 12,000. Yeah, 14.4. Okay, math is good. But what happened was, so this is a one wheel. It's a one wheel GT. I bought it from my friend. Okay, that is really heavy, but it was kind of just leaned up against something. My wife came in the garage. This garage used to be more of a mess than it is now. She was looking for something and it dropped on her foot and she was livid. We got in a fight and I immediately, Emilia was here. We were filming something, but I just stopped production and I said, Emilio, go home. I paid him, got in my truck, loaded up a couple bikes, and I signed for a small garage to store most of my bikes. And honestly, that was one of the best decisions I've ever made this year. It not only gave me a lot more room, I just feel more creative in a space that's a little bit more tidy. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you're a creative person, I believe that a little bit of peace where you create helps you create better things. So thank you for yelling at me, my wife. And yeah, now we have room to create, and I get to be home and still see my kids and not be in a really crummy, dusty warehouse studio. Instead, we are at the Adobo Moto studio, so it's very, very thankful for that. And I'm sorry about your foot. I love you. Now, at the same time I bought the 250X, I actually sold my beloved 2009 Yamaha R6. We had a good time, but I already had an R6 track bike. I didn't need two. Figured I'd sell the one that was worth way more money. I paid $5K for it, got the exhaust from Leo Vinci, and I put a few bits on it and sold it for 9,500 bucks. So we were up and up because of the videos that we made. Somebody was happy with a really amazing Yamaha R6. It was a win-win for everybody. Sad day for you guys, because I know you guys really love that bike, but we move on. That's what we do. We take delivery of our new super bike. Also in May, I got to ride Robbie's brand new MT-09 SP, which he was very proud of, and very proud of you, Robbie. He upgraded, I believe, from a Z400 or an R3. They're twins, so I get them confused all the time. And if it was Gavin, I'm so sorry, but I'm pretty sure it was Robbie. Now, also in May, my friend JC actually hit me up from Attorney Jeff, and he's like, hey man, we would love to have you. Would you like to come down and do a meet? So we had a meet. And that meet was humongous. I loved it. Like, the first time I got to meet fans outside of Washington, and y'all turned up, man. Like 200 plus bikes going down LA, rush hour, lane splitting. Scared out of my mind for sure, but you guys handle it. I mean, I give it to y'all every time, man. Y'all got it over Washington State, hands down. I say y'all got it over any state, because y'all be lane splitting like crazy, bro. LA, I loved it so much. I went back 2 more times. More on that later. Highlight of May, definitely LA. LA, I fucking love you guys. So, June, big month for me. I decided I was gonna do more track content because a lot of you guys think I couldn't ride for some reason. I hadn't been to a track in about 3, maybe 4 years, but this was my first track day. It was also Jixer King's first track day, my friend Ray, and a few others. We had fun. I took the R6 out, I also took the RSV4 out, but ultimately, I found my passion back for riding on track, and a lot of y'all got to see what I can actually do on track versus what I say I can do in my driveway. Also in June, went to our second track day. I got to ride a 60-year-old subscriber's ZX6R that he dumped a ton of money into. His name is Randy. Very, very cool guy. Kept bugging me all day to ride his damn ZX6R, and I was like, let me ride this POS. I got on it. And honestly, it was probably like one of my favorite bikes of 2024. It was set up so well. Forged wheels, full Olin suspension, full Graves titanium exhaust, tune. Just everything about that bike was set up to go really, really fast and give you a lot of confidence, which I rode that bike pretty damn hard, man. He was on my RSV4 and I was hauling ass. Definitely a highlight of June. Also in June, I took my first Temu brand deal, which didn't really go off too well with some of the audience, but I got to, one, pay my mom because she did a video with me, and I got to take her on a ride down the street to go get some food. She had a blast, and that was all thanks to Temu. And none of the gear that I ever promoted was anything like serious. It was stuff that I was going to use off-road, which I actually did use some of that stuff off-road, but more on Temu later. A couple of notable things in June, I had my first Bikes and Coffee. I also got to see a different side of Washington that I haven't seen on a motorcycle yet. My friend Leslie bought a ZX4RR, and I asked her if I could just help her out and put some parts on it because she was going to take it down to a shop and pay all this money. And I said, I could do it for you if you let me have the bike for content. And she was like, hey, that's a win-win for both of us. She let me have the bike for a couple of months. I did the break-in, went all the way to Eastern Washington, some of the best roads I've ever ridden, and I couldn't get it to its full potential because I had to stay under 10,000 RPM. But nonetheless, amazing views, amazing friends, amazing time. I would say that's a second place highlight of June. Okay, in July, not much really happened. That's my birthday month. We did Superbike School with KYT, and then immediately after, I went and took what I learned to a different track with a different bike, and I crashed. I crashed my R6, my track R6, and nothing really major happened to it. I actually picked it up, rode it off the track. I may have broken a couple of ribs. I didn't get an x-ray, but that's what it felt like. I've broken ribs before. Learned a lot at Superbike School. So I would say that was the highlight of July. Besides my birthday, of course. Motorcycles. So August was kind of big. New 2025 Panigale V4 was announced. Moto Corsa has been wanting to work with me for at least a year, and finally I needed a bike. I needed a reason to buy a bike because obviously I make YouTube videos, and taking delivery of my super bike just made sense at the time. It doesn't make that much sense now in hindsight because I realize that content's kind of stale. Sorry, not sorry. In any regard, it's there. I haven't picked it up. I'm going to pick it up after Thailand. More on Thailand later. Now, Moto Corsa. I pegged Moto Corsa all wrong. They've been wanting to work with me for a year. Moto Corsa is not a dealership. They are your friends that you just happen to buy motorcycles from, that you just happen to pay to work on your motorcycles. Their brand is completely different. And when you walk in there, you don't feel poor because they don't make you feel poor. When you walk into a Ducati dealership, sometimes you do feel poor. I remember when I went to the Ducati Red event, I couldn't buy the Panigale. My son asked me, he was like, are you going to get that? I was like, one day I will. I can't afford it right now. How times have changed. But that's what I love about Moto Corsa and Shaheen. They have a new manager now. His name is Hero. He's also just as cool. So if you guys are ever in Portland, stop by Moto Corsa and say hi. Tell them Adobo Moto sent you. You don't have to buy a bike. You don't have to buy anything. Just stop in and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Highlight of August, definitely meeting Shaheen at Moto Corsa and Ryan. Ryan, I love you. Sorry, I don't give you enough credit. He's the man. He's their social media guy for Moto Corsa. I love you, dog. It wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you bugging me every other month to come check out Moto Corsa. And I'm glad I did. Also in August, we went to Superbike School again to finish 3-4. BMW reached out to my agents and they offered to send me to Superbike School, and they offered to give me bikes whenever I wanted. So thank you, BMW. But still, the highlight was Moto Corsa. Now, I'm kind of basing this off of my published dates on YouTube, but I'm going to backtrack just a little bit because in September is when I published the LA vacation video where BMW gave me an M1000R to ride around with my friends. And I also got to ride the XSR 900 for charity. This actually happened towards the end of August, but I'm going to keep it in September just, for timeline's sake. Highlight of September is LA, man. I fucking love LA. I love LA. I wish I could live there and just ride motorcycles all day. It's just a different vibe. And Los Angeles, the people of LA, the people of California, those are my people, man. Those are my people. Whenever somebody finds me here in Washington, they're always like, yo, I thought you were from California. And I'm like, yo, dog, I just got that Cali swag. So, LA, I love y'all. You guys get 2 highlights in this video. It's crazy. Also in September, when we came back from LA, we decided to start Brood Talk, which is the podcast that's just about motorcycles and just hanging out with the homies. Probably the most diverse, if not the most diverse motorcycle podcast anywhere. If you look at other podcasts, they're not as diverse as us. We are looking to cast a female member of Brood Talk. So if you know anybody in the Tacoma, Seattle area that would love to do podcasts with us, the Broods, and be an honorary Brood, send me a DM on IG or something. Yeah, or comment down below. October, pretty much the same thing. We ended our track days. We did our last track day down in Portland. And then shortly after, I believe it was in November, we went to say goodbye to Shaheen. We continued the podcast. I believe we have 6 episodes now. I have 7 and 8. I haven't uploaded them yet because Thailand, which again, more on that at the end. Nothing really notable in October except for Halloween. I was anger, you know, short, red, and angry. Made sense. November, I got a random text from Motorsports of Olympia. They asked if I wanted to come see the R9 because it was there. They said it's there. We went and checked it out. Loved it. Nate loved it. Beautiful bike. Very excited to see that. Of course, we had Thanksgiving, and now we're in December. In December, at the beginning of the month, I bought a Starkvarg. I actually bought it in November. But again, YouTube timeline, published date. I bought it in December. It's a motorcycle that I always wanted to buy. You know, I started on Surons. Went to Talaria's. Huge shout out to Lunacycle. I don't shout them out enough. They've given me so many Surons, Talarias. Eric, I love you, man. You sent me 2 Surons when I was a nobody. You sent me the Talaria MX3, Talaria MX4, Talaria XXX, and now I got the Talaria X5. Like, it's like every time you get a new bike, you just send it, and you hope I make a video, which I still haven't made a video on the MX5, but huge shout out to you, Lunacycle. If you guys are interested in any of the e-bikes that I've like showed off in my channel, give Lunacycle your support. The more notable one was this morning, December 31st. We hit 500,000 subscribers. Thank y'all, despite y'all not liking me promoting Temu, which now we're back to Temu. They offered me a $6,000 brand deal, and I had some thoughts. I said, hey, I've been trying to tell my community about you because my community does not trust you guys. I've been trying to prove that this is just another Amazon or another eBay where my community buys these SC Project exhausts that people seem to love because 1, they're cheap, and then 2, they give you both stickers. You can make it an SC Project or you can make it an Akropovich, depending on what sticker you slap on it. And I asked for full autonomy. And I said, I wanted to make different types of videos, not promoting your coupon code, your promo code, your special. I wanted to make a video highlighting the fact that this was just another Amazon, another Alibaba. Like Temu doesn't actually make gear. They don't make parts. It's just a website where people like you and I can create an account and sell stuff from manufacturers directly to you. It's a drop shipping website. I believe they just turned it down because I asked for full autonomy, as in they can't have any control over this. And even on the motorcycle jacket video, I fought for that. I fought real hard. They didn't want me to mention Icon. They didn't want me to talk about a lot of things that I talked about in there, but I just kept it. And I just stuck with my guns. And it's funny that they loved it. They loved what I did. And a lot of y'all didn't, because you got, it just kind of flies over people's heads. It's like, bro, would you rather have an Icon vest or a $40 jacket? There's people in my DMs and sometimes even in my comment section like, hey, we would love to have your sweaty used gear. We don't care if it's been crashed. We can't afford that in our countries. You know, I was a gear snob for a very long time. Like, no, get Alpine Stars, get full suit, get da 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 da. And something my buddy Nate is always mentioning when I say that is like, well, it's better than nothing. And I had to really dial back and think about my entitlement as an American. No, it's not abrasive resistant, but I crashed in a t-shirt and jeans. The Temu jacket for 40 bucks is better than nothing. And that was the point of my video. And it went over so many people's heads. And part of it, I think people were just looking for a reason to hate me more. So moving forward, I'm still not gonna give a fuck about the haters, but I'm gonna stop responding to them. I think I just need to give more time to the people who with me in the comment section. Like when you ask a legitimate question, I'll definitely just make every effort to get it answered, which I've already started to do. Okay, I gotta like pick a quote. I watch a lot of Marquez Brownlee. He does these things every year, and he chose a quote that he said it was supposedly from his coach, but it's a quote that's been kind of recycled over time in sports, so it could be true. It's from Billie Jean King, and the quote goes, "Pressure is a privilege, but champions adjust." And I think being on this platform, YouTube, social media, having this brand, having a voice, I do understand that the pressure to not only make good videos, but edutainment videos, right? Those videos, those content that gives you a little bit of knowledge and a lot of entertainment. That pressure to move forward and continue even after being shit on by you guys for promoting a jacket from Temu. It's a privilege. It's a privilege that I'll never take for granted. And that's why in 2025, we're gonna reach for bigger videos. I just had too much fun in 2024. I had way too much fun. Not enough focus on building it's not a bad thing. I got to have fun with my friends. I got to meet new people. I got to meet subscribers, and I got to finally ride the PCH, something that I've always wanted to do in my almost 20 years of riding motorcycles. Pressure is a privilege. Anyway, I'm going to Thailand, and that's how we're gonna kickstart 2025. Riding motorcycles in Thailand. Okay, I'll see you guys in 2025. He's holding the camera. Thank you guys for coming, man. All the way from San Diego. That's what's up. The R6, bro.
Valid, bro.
You know I love R6s. Jesus
Christ. My opinion does not count today. I'm sorry, guys. Let me explain. I'm high as so anything I put in my mouth, I could put it in my mouth. That still don't taste good.
God damn.
I didn't even. Let me take another bite, bro. Hold on, bro.